Put your hands together to welcome on stage Vice President Advertising South and Southeast Asia with BBC, Mr. John Williams.
Is this on? Can everyone hear me? That's quite a build-up. 25 years makes you sound really old, and I'm really old. Fantastic list of sponsors as well. Great to see that. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Williams. Obviously, as it's just been said, and I'm the VP of Advertising Sales for South and Southeast Asia for the BBC. And I'm very much delighted to be here this morning to talk to you about the second phase of some really exciting research. Actually, BBC Advertising and BBC Storyworks, our creative business, commissioned fairly recently. It's called the Science of Engagement 2.0, and I want to tell you more about the subsequent 8 commandments of content marketing that we deduced from the research findings. I have a clicker here, this will create this ones. As content creators, the BBC strives to produce an emotional response in whatever story we tell.
You find yourself in life-threatening situations, and you've chosen to go there because you think the story matters. And there's a responsibility with that to tell it as honestly as you can, but be as human as you can. I want to tell that story, and I want to tell it better than anybody else.
The natural world is full of so many stories. The skill is to understand the story that will communicate to an enormous audience around the world. Even the familiar, if you look at it with more detail, can be very revelational. And if I and our teams can take people to Antarctica and show them a cheetah hunting, can take them to the bottom of the ocean, that's really precious.
I do love it when that script lands in your inbox and you can see it in your head and you want to put that on screen. It's exciting. I love the read-through before we start shooting. You hear the script out loud and it's a sort of, yes, we're off. It's made with confidence and with pride. There's never a moment you go, that'll do. You just don't.
So as you see, whether it's news, natural history or drama, great content drives emotional response. If audiences feel sadness or empathy from seeing a news package from Syria, wonder or surprise from a natural history piece about lions in Africa, or exhilaration and excitement from an experience from an episode of Sherlock, then the content creator has achieved their goal because they have evoked emotion and engaged the audience. And this is no different for brands and advertisers really, especially as the growth of content-led marketing means that brands are now, in many cases, content creators in their own right. Creating great, emotionally engaging content is, however, only one side of the equation. Understanding how emotional response affects consumer engagement and their behaviour towards brands and content-led marketing is the key, we believe, to producing better, more effective campaigns. In essence, we want to marry the art of storytelling with the science of engagement. But let me go back a little bit here. In early 2016, the BBC set out to understand how consumers engage with content-led marketing and what this actually means for brands. The original Science of Engagement showed 3 key insights. Firstly, consumers are much more engaged with content-led marketing where brand involvement is fully transparent. Secondly, when executed properly and in the right environment, content marketing works in a similar way to editorial content. It's trusted and it helps to shape consumer opinion. And thirdly, content marketing also deepens the emotional relationship between brands and consumers, meaning it works on a subconscious level. These 3 insights were achieved by taking a pretty unique approach to measuring engagement. We're all very aware that measuring the effectiveness of content-led marketing continues very much to challenge the industry. But the BBC felt that a lot of previous research often ignored content and focused too heavily on digital analytics and traditional ad effectiveness. So our approach was slightly different. It was to measure engagement using facial coding and to combine it with other techniques, such as persuasion, so does the content change previously held opinions on the subject matter that our readers are consuming, and also comprehension. How memorable is the content? All in all, the science of engagement findings were well received. And we did pretty well. We got lots of awards, but we didn't want to stop there. So with Science of Engagement 2.0, the BBC went one step further. We wanted to deepen our understanding of the impact of emotions in content-led marketing. We wanted to be able to measure how emotions affect brand metrics. And we also wanted to deliver tangible, actionable insights that can be used by advertisers and BBC Storyworks themselves in their campaign creation. So in essence, we set out to produce a rather grandiose titled set of guidelines which can be acted upon and utilised at all stages throughout the content making process. So how do we do it? Well, we utilised a three-step process, which we tested 9 pieces of content spanning both written and video using facial coding, eye tracking, and implicit response testing. We also then merged this data with additional data points such as social media to add depth to the findings. And lastly, the data was analysed to find the connections between emotional response and campaign success. But before we really dive into the insights, it must be remembered that there is no such thing as a bad emotion. In fact, no emotion is bad in content. Producing an emotional response shows engagement. Likewise, producing no emotional response means ambivalence or complete indifference to the content. If you think of the most engaging piece of content you see recently, whether it is serious or light-hearted, it will definitely produce a strong emotional response. So it's worth remembering facial coding groups emotions together using similar labels, as shown here. So it's important to keep in mind that each grouping represents a myriad of different emotions. So a strong reading of fear could actually mean concern, worry, or stress. It's estimated that we make around 10,000 decisions a day. With so many decisions to make in so little time, you won't be surprised to hear that the majority of the decisions that we make are subconscious. Our brains usually run on autopilot, despite making us believe we know what we're really doing. Many experts claim that 95% of all purchasing decisions are not made consciously. So in other words, brands and products that evoke our emotions subconsciously tend to win. Brands have always seen the value of creating deep-rooted emotional relationships, and this isn't new or news to anyone who actually works in creative services. So this is a challenging slide. Before we get into the 8 commandments, I wanted to sort of briefly touch upon how the research we undertook worked. This is how it worked. As you can see, it's pretty complex, and we'd be delighted to I'm not going to go to attempt to explain here. What is important, though, is that the resulting insights are both easy to understand and implement, and very powerful when one is thinking about the creation of content and marketing. So, without much more ado, let's look at the insights that we found from our research. A little bit of background on the research that we tested. So the BBC tested a variety of content marketing campaigns that we've made that are partnered with the BBC in various formats, from articles to videos and infographics. We felt it was important to test across a range of industry categories, and these included banking, IT, autos, tourism, consumer electronics, airlines and finance. And for all those out there who are interested, the research was actually conducted across over 9,136 respondents in 5 markets. So Germany, North America, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia. As I touched upon earlier, deepening the emotional relationship between brands and consumers is really, really important. And our research discovered that in order to achieve the maximum emotional impact in content-led marketing, brands should focus on triggering serious emotions fear, sadness, puzzlement. People who expressed at least one of these emotions during the research saw a change in subconscious positivity, which is 22% higher than people who did not express any of these emotions. And just to be clear, since many of us here are neither psychologists nor statisticians, and I'm neither, subconscious positivity is established by measuring the speed at which the viewer agrees with the statement about the brand, i.e. like this brand. So the quicker you respond, the stronger your subconscious positivity. The quicker they agree, the higher the subconscious positivity. So we measure this before and after viewing the content we saw to see the pattern. So to support this, the case study we used was so a piece of content that BBC Story was produced entitled Emerging from the Darkness. The video we produced chronicles the life of a blind painter who paints brilliant pieces of art despite having lost his sight. Nicely complicated line. But what this line chart actually shows is that it's the serious emotions, puzzlement, fear, sadness. They were all triggered at various levels throughout watching the piece of content, the video. And all three emotions being exhibited at their highest levels right at the end of the video. So we know that those who saw this piece of content, which was filled with pretty serious emotion, saw a 50% increase in subconscious positivity for the brand. Triggering serious emotions also drives a number of brand metrics, including conscious positivity, brand image, and consideration. But why do these emotions have this effect? Well, puzzlement signifies cognitive engagement or curiosity with the content. This means that consumers are more likely to actually process information themselves, therefore more likely to retain it and be influenced by it. Fear is the strongest emotion, in that it is the likeliest to produce an emotional response in the brain. So it makes sense that fear will potentially lead to the highest attention and level of engagement. Fear. Recent research has also suggested that with sadness comes accuracy. People in negative moods are less likely to show false memory syndrome. So the second case study we took to support this theory is from HSBC, and it's called Going the Distance. This written content article is about the trials and tribulations of maintaining a long-term, long-distance relationship, a relationship that ultimately does not work out. So what we see from this slide, what we see from the findings, is that in the content itself evoke emotions of fear and sadness, which leads to uplift in both brand image and consideration at HSBC. Intrigue, but don't confuse. Intrigue is a great way to engage with these views, but bafflement is not. So be very careful not to confuse consumers and readers. We found in our research that the higher the levels of puzzlement, the less impact on call to action. Why? Because consumers are giving all their attention trying to understand what it is they're reading or seeing, and as a result, pay much less attention to the brand and what it was actually trying to say. The theory that it's better to intrigue but not confuse was proven on some work that we produced for Dassault Systems. We tested content about fuelless airplanes and driverless cars, both intriguing ideas that instantly catch consumers' attention, top secret to keep reading and watching to find out more. The key was not to cross over into puzzlement, i.e., don't leave your readers without enough detail. So intrigue them, but don't puzzle them. So the fourth commandment, as it were, is about lighter emotions. We've spent a lot of time so far talking about serious emotions, but we don't want to ignore lighter emotions either. Happiness and surprise still have a very important role to play in content marketing. We found that lighter emotions tend to have an impact higher up the purchase funnel with metrics like consideration and brand image. And here's a case study from our research to help explain the impact of lighter emotions. We tested a video piece which we made for Cathay Pacific around in-flight food, mainly for many travellers. This animated infographic takes the viewer on a quirky, informative journey from the good old days of in-flight dining to the austere years of a simple bag of peanuts and a warm bottle of water. As this is a lighter piece, higher instances of happiness, surprise, and even puzzlement show through, resulting in uplifts for both brand image and consideration for Cathay Pacific. The fifth commandment is about content-led marketing helps to create and reinforce existing memory structures. So our research showed how positive implicit perceptions of a brand increased after exposure to the content compared to before. This chart shows how much more strongly the brand is associated with the idea of good in the memory after seeing the branded content piece themselves. For example, those who know a brand really well, the link in the memory between the brand and good is 84% stronger. As you can see, content-led marketing is really effective in improving this, but it works especially well for relatively unknown brands. Make sure your brand gets noticed. Whether or not your brand gets noticed can have a big impact on how readers and viewers ultimately perceive your brand. When we're thinking about content-led marketing and the brand positivity we want to create or enhance, we need to make sure that the brand is clearly visible and noticeable to the reader or viewer. In our study, we found that from a content perspective, people who notice the brand and content have a much better understanding and therefore are more likely to remember it versus those who did not notice any branding. Similarly, our respondents' subconscious and conscious brand positivity increases by a higher percentage when they notice the brand versus when they don't. Viral content tends to be surprising, emotionally complex, or extremely positive. Not surprisingly, these are the emotions that brands should be focusing on in their marketing to drive referrals to social media. Video drives bigger impacts. Interestingly, and perhaps surprisingly to some, there is very little difference in terms of emotional engagement between text and video content. We found that consumers engage on a very similar level. We found that consumers engage on a very similar emotional level across both mediums, video and text. However, our findings show that video is much more impactful on the brand. And we believe this is because text makes you think, while video actually makes you feel. And finally, good news, content-led marketing actually works. The average content-led marketing campaign that we've undertaken on the BBC delivers, we found, a 30% increase in subconscious positivity, a 56% increase in recommendations, 50% increase in consideration, and a 49% increase in average brand image. So what does this mean to clients, and how will the BBC use targeted engagement? Well, in three key ways. Firstly, ideation. When we respond to a brief, we will be able to use targeted engagement to add another layer of insights to our solutions, marrying our knowledge of the relationship between emotions and campaign objectives to the storytelling expertise that comes with the BBC brand. Secondly, in our distribution strategy, by understanding the emotional triggers in the content we create, we can select the most powerful elements of that content and use it to drive social media distribution. And lastly, in our campaign effectiveness. Lastly, by using Science Engagement 2.0, we can add another layer of reporting in our post-campaign analysis to understand the emotional impact of the content we create for clients. You were delighted to hear that was a short and punchy presentation, so thank you all much for your kind attention. I hope that I've shown you that whilst content marketing works, creating great, emotionally engaging content is only one side of the equation. Understanding how emotional response affects consumers' engagement and their behaviour towards brands in content marketing is key, we think, to producing better, more effective campaigns, and that at best, a marriage between the art of storytelling and the science of engagement delivers the best outcome for you and your clients. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. We can open the floor for questions, I guess. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open, so please do raise your hands. We'll have the mics passed on to you. And we're also going to request you to please introduce yourself for the question.
Hi everyone, my name is Amit. I work for ACL. Well, I had a question around one of the advertisements, a video advertisement on television. When I look at the ad every time I do, the content is really strong emotionally, and somehow I felt that it's a big brand advertisement. But so strong is the content that I vaguely remember the brand. So I always had a thought as to what would have gone wrong. It's a big brand, obviously, and you can't miss it. So why would the content overshadow the memory of a brand?
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you're trying to do with your advertising. If it's trying to sell a product or push an idea, then obviously you need to have your brand first and foremost. But I think what we're finding with clients who are looking for us to make great sort of subtle branded content for them is that they don't actually want to be front and centre. They already have work that does that for them, and they use us and other publishers to sort of making really engaging content for them that actually helps tell a different story to support their tactical work. I mean, obviously you don't want to have so little of your brand in the product, in the work that you're producing, that no one knows what it is. And we know from science of engagement that actually you should have your brand in the work. And I think that a lot of clients are of the opinion that if they want to be so deeply involved into content that they're not even in the content itself, actually we wrote back and said, you should be in it, because we know from our research that consumers are much more emotionally engaged and attentive to the content when they know that you are the people who bring it to them. So it's a subtle balance, but one that sometimes people do it very well. And we're still learning.
Thank you.
Any further questions, ladies and gentlemen? There we go.
Hi John, thanks for the presentation, very interesting insights. I'm Kanishka, I work for ICOM 18. I was just wondering actually a similar question, right? At times, so all emotions, if a brand is able to evoke emotion, that's considered good. But at times those emotions are actually not relevant to the brand, right? I think people sitting in this room probably find this relevant. There is a cement company that shows a lady in a bikini and shows that for 30 seconds. At the end, the cement company name comes out, right? It's completely not relevant. I don't know what kind of emotion it evokes in others, but for me, I feel it's stupid, right? So how do you take that? I mean, what is your view on that? Is it good to evoke any emotion, or should it be relevant to the brand?
No, I think the emotion has to be relevant to the brand. I think it's interesting to what you said the day after National Women's Day. It's National Women's Day. Cement company using women in bikini to sell cement is pretty abstract. When we make content for clients, we are trying to evoke emotions that the brands themselves want to feel, or want their readers or consumers to feel. And it doesn't, as I said in the presentation, it doesn't have to be happiness. It can be fear, surprise, or puzzlement. I think the most important thing is that you know what it is that you're trying to achieve up front. I think your example is basically just a brand grasping for attention. We don't want to be going down that. And that's not the sort of work we would ever do on any sort of brand, or any sort of publisher of any recommendation to do anyway. It's a difficult and it's a difficult path to travel. But I think the content that you make with brands has to say something about the brand subconsciously, but it has to say something about it. It has to support. So the work we did for Huawei, for example, which is obviously a huge consumer electronics brand, but Huawei still sees itself very much as a challenger brand, certainly in many markets. And so the work that we did is very for them. We just commissioned some more work. It's actually about stories that we tell about people overcoming obstacles. And that could be going blind, that could be physical obstacles, that could be obstacles in technology and innovation. And Huawei obviously still have all their campaigns selling their handsets and whatnot. But they use us to tell a much more holistic story about what they are as a brand going forward. If anyone from Huawei is in the audience, I'd like to
Hi, I'm Tejas.
Hello.
I'm with a life insurance company. Yeah. So what we have seen is when we advertise, invoking the fear emotion does tend to get us leads and any kind of business outcome that we want to see. But the reason why precisely people don't want to think about life insurance is because of the fear of death. And therefore there's a dichotomy. How do we really invoke the fear? And you have shown that fear is quite strong. We really can't go into the happiness. Either we appeal to the fear side or we appeal to the very rational and planning side, where we are asking the people to think about their families. So there has to be a balance. What is advisable? To stick to the core product proposition, which is centered around fear, or have content which is more rational?
You have an advertising agent? No, I'm joking. Yeah, insurance is one of those things that people don't want to think about until it's too late. And fear is obviously one of the big triggers in that, because obviously it's like when you leave, you need to be looking after people. But there was some really interesting work that Prudential have done recently. You may or may not have seen that. It was in Singapore, and it was obviously a Prudential mass insurance company. And instead of actually trying to get people to think about insurance based on fear, they actually did it based on relationships and love. And it was actually quite an interesting story, because it was the idea of the concept was actually meant to be social. So social is all about video. Videos also have to be very short. But in fact, Prudential went the other way. They made 3-minute video pieces. What they used is they used individuals, father and daughter, mother and son, 2 sisters. And it's very simple. They got them in a room and they stood them in front of each other and they filmed them. And now, the old adage is, we're never more here, but we're never less present than we've ever been, because everybody's connected. They stood these 2 people who have an emotional relationship with each other, a physical relationship in some cases, and they just stood and looked at each other. And what came out of these stories was actually how much love there was in these people. So, it was love for each other and saying things to each other like, I never thanked you for looking after Dad when he was ill. Or the wife saying to the husband, you haven't held me for 3 years. And they're married couples. So this was all about love and emotion. So, for Prudential, they sort of tapped into that one. I don't think there is a universal sort of panacea to your question. I think you have to think about where you want your brand to be. Prudential has obviously in the past gone down the fear route, because that's what selling insurance is about. Don't leave your loved ones in the lurch. But also, if you use another emotion, which was equally strong, we talked about happiness as being a very strong emotion. I know it's been a very successful campaign for them, and one they're looking to extend and take forward. So maybe that's something more to consider.
Hi, my name is Vaibhav. So, from a digital BFSI context, I want to understand what's your view on when placing content, the call to action for the consumption of the content should typically be a product discovery or an initiation of a purchase journey. That's a dichotomy that deal with a lot of times.
I mean, the content that we tend to make for clients specifically doesn't have a call to action. It's about discovery. Because there's other content that clients are making themselves, their agencies, which is much more tactical, much more about click here or phone here or go to this URL. That does really, really well, obviously what it does, but the work that we tend to do, and I think the work of great storytelling is more about sort of consideration and less about actually straight call to action, because what you're trying to do is often change people's perceptions, and I think there's that slide that says even really well-known brands with great stories that can be told can actually make people feel very positive about them and actually make them feel good. We don't tend to use the content or make content for people with the idea of actually trying to make them sign up. Increasingly, digital metrics show that there has to be some form of attribution. Also, the old days of just doing great branding work doesn't really work anymore. So, we use all of our data points to try and look at the attribution models. It's not perfect, but it's sort of getting there.
All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we call it a wrap to another very interesting, our first keynote session. Let me have a round of applause. Thank you, everybody, as well. I'm going to also request you all to please connect with John offline as well in case of any further questions, and he'll be available all day as well to address your queries. And it's fantastic to see the kind of questions coming from the audience.